Welcome to the DM Online Sports Whip. I'm joined by Alex Lake and David Henson. We're broadcasting live from the SEC Basketball Media Days in Birmingham, Alabama. We had a chance to sit down with numerous coaches and players from across the Southeastern Conference, but the highlight of the morning session was Kentucky head coach John Calipari.
We're still a month away from them being comfortable with it. When they get comfortable with it, they're going to create opportunities for each other that'll be nuts. And they'll also feel unleashed, like they can just play. There's nothing holding them back. This offense is one where if you can't be delusional. Like if you come in and say, well, you know, I did, man, you can't dribble. Or you were wide open 3 times, you didn't make a shot. What are you talking about? So it's more on them than running plays. Like we're not running plays to get somebody a shot. It's putting people in positions where they can create their own or for a team.
We also had a chance to sit down with Ole Miss head coach Andy Kennedy on the College Sports Power Hour on Rebel Radio 92.1.
Well, seemingly, yeah, we are healthy, happy, focused. We're excited to have those guys back. You know what it's done. It's brought a focus that we haven't seen before. Many times, you guys look awfully young. Many times when you're talking to young guys and you say, "Hey, live in the moment. You never know what tomorrow's going to hold." That goes in one ear and out the other. Until you experience something like Chris and Neil Ponley's and Trevor Gaskins went through, these guys have never been injured in their life. They thought they were, you know, invincible, and now all of a sudden they're sitting over there in crutches, looking at things from a different perspective. They have taken that and turned it into a positive. Physically, they're healthy, but mentally, they're at another place. And that's elevated the competitiveness of practice, which is going to help us be a better team.
Now we're going to preview the weekend in football, and we picked 3 SEC games. First off, LSU and Auburn. Guys, what do you think about that game?
Well, I think it's going to be a really interesting matchup. Auburn coming off this devastating loss against Kentucky, and of course you have this LSU offense that has never quite gotten to what they need to be. So I think it's going to be an interesting matchup for those two points.
Well, just like Alex said, Auburn's coming off a tough loss last week to Kentucky at home, and you know Auburn was 5-0. We were all talking about how great they were, you know, impressive, and now all of a sudden they've lost 2 in a row, about to make it possibly 3, and you know,
LSU's not necessarily a team that I'm high on, but both teams have a lot to prove going forward. Right. The other game we're going to talk about is Alabama and Tennessee, which, from somebody who's from the state of Tennessee like you, David, talks about how this is the rivalry game for the Volunteers. Now, I don't know whether Tennessee's going to be able to keep it close, but I do think there's going to be enough momentum and enough firepower just coming from within from Tennessee to keep this thing interesting.
Right, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Jonathan Crompton, you know, comes off having that great game last week. So I think that's going to be very interesting. Also to see how Mark Ingram plays against one of the better defenses in the SEC.
Right, yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be closer than people might think. You know, Tennessee-Florida, everyone expected to be a blowout. Tennessee kept it close. They held Florida, I think, 20-something points. So I definitely think Tennessee can hold Alabama to a few points, but the question is, can they score some points on offense themselves?
And the last SEC game we want to talk about is Ole Miss and Arkansas. Now, this game is at Vaughn Hemingway Stadium at 11:21 in the morning on Saturday. Not something I'm looking forward to, but either way, this is a huge game for both teams. Arkansas, we know about Ryan Mallett. Ole Miss, we know about Jevin Snead's struggles. What's going to be the key to this game?
Oh, I don't think there's much debate. I really do think the main key in this game is going to be the Ole Miss offensive line. You know, they're coming off a pretty good week against, you know, not a great matchup. So I feel like if they can continue maybe the little momentum that they got against UAB, you know, I think they'll have a chance in the end to end up beating Arkansas.
You know, we talked about last week, UAB's one of their biggest weaknesses was pass defense. They were ranked last in the NCAA. Well, Arkansas's 100th in the nation. So, you know, this is another game that Jevin can, you know, build up some of his confidence, hopefully, and, you know, pull it out with a win.
Thanks for joining us this week from Birmingham, Alabama at SEC Basketball Media Days. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Sports Power Hour, capitalize the S, P, and H. We update that weekly for the College Sports Power Hour on Rebel Radio 92.1. For Alex and David, I'm Kory Keys. Have a good week, everybody.